I'm curious, as you kind of went through this experience of your career, kind of pre-pandemic, I should say, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of came to the realization that you had kind of created a path or a process to discover what you really wanted to do. How did you kind of go to market with it? because now you're selling yourself, right? Like how did you?
Yeah. So it wasn't overnight. And I have to really put this out there. I said when I met you a couple of weeks ago, one of my big things that I, don't like in the market at the moment is this is something that can happen overnight, and you can make this, massive switch within 60 or 90 days and be earning a six-figure income. There's maybe a few people that has happened to, but it's, it's the rare few. So I'd done it myself, and I'd kind of gone through this process just naturally. I'm naturally kind of an intuitive person. I didn't realize this at the time. Then when I was working in recruitment, and I was literally, I could be interviewing 20 to 50 people a week, meeting various companies. I started picking up, seeing where things went right and where things went wrong. You could have exactly the same job, you put it in two different companies, and one person, the same person doing exactly the same job, can thrive in one and not in another.
Yeah.
So I really started delving into, and I'd also trained in behavioral profiling, so delving into personality traits, culture traits of businesses, then working one-on-one with people in recruitment, and they'd say, just want a job. Okay, good. Can you tell me a bit more? Yeah, just somewhere that's nice. Okay. Yeah. So you just want a nice job with a good team in a nice company. Like, what do these words mean? Like, we have these kind of just generic words that we use, but we don't actually kind of delve into, what's this meaning? So really started through, the years, gosh, it was like 10 plus years, recruiting, seeing patterns, and I think, again, that kind of, my intuition really helps me to see these patterns. Also, when we study the study of neuro-linguistic programming, it's about spotting patterns. And then, that started helping me realize there's a way to create something to help, navigate people through. So it was all in my mind at first. And even when I left, left the corporate world, I did do quite a lot of background setup before I left, and I kind of tested the product in the market. I was doing some career coaching and personal brand coaching out of work, saying, okay, is this viable? And before I made the leap, but it was there wasn't kind of the process and formula. But then when I left, and I was really like, okay, I want to build out this business, and I need to streamline it. And so I started then kind of bringing the kind of tools together, in a sense, into workbooks and steps. And really, I've created a transformational, now more than one, but transformational frameworks. Okay, so this is where you are. You're in a job that you don't want. You want the dream career. Okay, what's the process? Like, what are the steps? And there's an art and a science to it. And coupled with some intuition, if you're working with me one-on-one, but actually helping people really see themselves differently. And, I've this week been doing a lot of work with people on skills and strengths, which is a really interesting one, because we take our strengths for granted, because they're often, our strengths are things we're born with. There are innate qualities that we don't actually see as our superpowers. But when we can really, really, shine the spotlight on our strengths and our skills and zone in on that zone of genius, that's our superpowers. And when we land there, that can be a complete game changer for what you can do in your career or in your business. A lot of us, we're kind of put into these job title boxes and think that's what we are. Yeah. And we are not job titles.
It's so interesting because, I've recently left my corporate job to kind of pursue my entrepreneurial passions. And If you were to ask any of my friends or people in my close circle, they would say, 5 years from now, I defined myself as a management consultant. That's just who I was, and I think I was successful in that role because a lot of my strengths really apply in that role, critical thinking, intuition, being able to kind of connect with other people, understand people's problems, articulate it back to the person that don't understand their problem. So like a lot of those things that I would say I was kind of naturally ahead of the curve on, and I had just worked on becoming better at, it helped me thrive in that job. And so because I was just so good at the job, I was just like, oh yeah, I'm a consultant. And it wasn't until the job wasn't as fulfilling that I started stepping back and being like, oh, no. I'm Boyega, and I have these skill sets that let me be a good consultant. But in reality, that's actually not who I am as a person. And I think you're right. There's a major mental shift that happens when you just look at yourself as an individual with a set of skills that can be applied to certain roles rather than the other way around.
Yep, absolutely. And that's what you get to do, when you kind of do this work and take a step back and go, right, that's my strength, natural strength set. They're the skills that I've built. And now where do I want to play with them?
Right.
And what team am I playing on? Who's in the team?
Yeah.
And I say play because when we're using our skills and strengths, doing what we want, it should be play. It shouldn't be like hard work. Where do I want to go and work with these skills? It should be much more like, okay, where do I want to play? And so when I did this, and I did the first time I did it when I left the UK to go to Australia, and I'd, done my kind of skills and strengths. I was like, right, where do I want to play with these? I knew I really like playing in the creative industry space. I went right down to detail. I'm not wearing a suit to work. I'm wearing jeans. I'm wearing trainers. I want to work in like a warehouse style office. There's no corporate revolving doors because I have a total fear of those things. There's none of that. So I was really, when I started looking at where do I want to play with these skills and with who, it was down to the detail. I'm like, okay, yeah, I know I need communication. I need to talk to people. I need to be networking, big skills and kind of strengths of mine that energize me. Who am I networking with? Well, I'd been in a job working in credit insurance. Nothing wrong with people in credit insurance, but it's just not for me. Putting on a suit in some stiffy, hotel lounge bar, not for me. I was like, I want a grungy coffee shop, drinking coffee and, talking with creatives. This is what, this is what brings me alive. So, it is such, if anyone's listening and feeling stuck, doing that exercise of, okay, what are my innate strengths and what are the skills, kind of the saleable skills that I have? Where do I want to play with them is, the start of the transformation, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.